The new digital nomad visa has finally been published and it's now available, and foreigners wishing to work remotely from this country can now start their applications. Hello, I'm Jovana from Nomad Capitalist, where we help 7 and 8 figures entrepreneurs and families go where they are treated the best. And yes, we'll help clients acquire multiple residents. We also host Nomad Capitalist Live, an annual event that gathers like-minded individuals. And this annual event will be held in September in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And that for many of you is maybe a chance to start your offshore journey by taking baby steps. Spanish Digital Nomad Visa is now open to non-EU nationalities who want to work remotely from Spain and work for non-Spanish companies. Under this regulation, an applicant, as a person that is applying for Digital Nomad Visa, is allowed to get maximum 20% of their annual income from Spanish company. Both self-employed freelancers with multiple clients or remote workers employed by a single company outside of Spain are eligible for this visa. And this is actually a positive thing, and it offers certain flexibility, given that in some other countries, such as Germany, for example, you need to have multiple clients in order to apply. So in this case, you can have your own company. In order to apply for this visa, there is actually one quite smart rule, and we'll discuss it later. Why is that smart or smart for Spain? So in order to apply for this visa, you cannot be living legally in Spain at the time of your application, and you could not live in the country in the last 5 years prior to applying. So when we say legally living in Spain, we're referring to official residence program. So if you spend some time on a tourist visa, you're definitely good to go and you can apply. However, if you held a residence permit at any point in the last 5 years, you cannot apply for this digital nomad visa. So additional caveat on this visa is that you need to prove that you have worked with your clients or companies for more than 3 months before applying, and that a company that you work for or multiple companies that you work with is operational for at least a year. So contract of employment or a freelance contract is one of the things that you will need to submit for this visa. And in this contract, it needs to be stated that this is a position, the position that you currently hold, is something that can be done remotely. Besides a job contract, you also need to demonstrate that you have at least 3 years of work experience and to demonstrate qualifications such as university diploma or professional certificate. And this is not something that I specifically like, and it represents a standard problem with European Union and their more traditional understanding of job positions that you need a degree, which in the area of many self-taught entrepreneurs and remote workers is not very typical. So besides this technical details that you need to submit in order to get your visa, you also need to provide that you have funds to support yourself in Spain. So currently the amount that is required is 2,334 euros per month or 28,000 euros annual income. This is something that might increase in the next couple of months or definitely in the next couple of years, since Spain is constantly reevaluating their minimum wage, and basically the law suggests that this amount will be adjusted compared to the minimum wage. This amount actually makes Spanish Golden Visa better positioned compared to Portugal that does require passive income, so either from retirement, dividends, rental income, but in this case it can actually be from your ongoing salary. It also positions it better compared to Greece just because the amount is lower. So this is again, your income is demonstrated with your bank statements and your contract. Besides that, you need to have a health insurance, private health insurance. Any international health insurance with coverage in Spain will work. They're suggesting that they will also include an opportunity for you to apply for Spanish public health insurance, still not clarified to the full. Besides health insurance, of course, they also want to see clear criminal record. So they're looking for a criminal record from all countries where you have legally reside in the last 5 years. Interestingly, there is no amount of time that you need to spend in those countries. So maybe you can go ahead and submit from every single country where you have been more than 6 months as an official document for the last 2 years and sworn affidavit from last 5 years that you have not commit any crime. So what kind of benefits you get for this visa? This visa is initially valid for 12 months or for the duration of your employment contract. In case the contract is shorter than 12 months, in this case you will get Nomad visa that is matching your period of contract, and you can reapply with a new contract or a contract annex again. So this visa, again initially valid for 1 year, can be renewed up to 5 years. But there is a catch, right? To maintain this visa, you need to spend at least 6 months per year in Spain, which obviously means you're getting into Spanish tax bracket by becoming a Spanish tax resident. And this is actually quite smart of them, because if you remember, we spoke about that rule that you cannot be a legal resident 5 years prior to applying for this visa. So with that rule, they actually eliminated the possibility of you applying for a visa, spending, let's say, 5 months, avoid becoming a tax resident of Spain, leaving Spain, and then coming back next year and reapplying for this visa. So that option is no longer going to be possible. So you need to spend time to maintain this visa, and you cannot reapply, but obviously you can renew your visa. So we said spending 6 months, meaning that you will become a tax resident of Spain. They wanted to make, their taxes, as much as Spanish taxes can be appealing, they wanted to make it easier on digital nomads. So with this residency card, you actually have access to the whole EU. You can use it and travel to the EU, and you can also bring your family. Obviously, the amount of money that you need to have per month or overall on an annual basis increases with adding more dependents. So the application process itself is actually quite simple. It can start in your consulate or it can start in Spain. So depend on what is easier for you. Waiting time is still relatively short. This is not well known, at least yet. So waiting time for approving this visa are not super long, and you can expect a general answer somewhere between 15 and 45 days, which is definitely okay compared to many other options. Also, you will receive an email notification, and then you can go to your consulate of choice to pick up your passport. There's kind of behind the scene procedure. Once you go to Spain, you will need to get tax number, set a bank account, and a couple other things, but that's generally the easiest part of this process. And why I said this other part is the easiest, because when you start up your application, you need to really be aware of two things, which not many people think about. So they, see, okay, a couple documents, that's super easy, let's go. But you need to be aware of two things. One is legalization and the other is translation. So depending on a consulate, some consulate might accept English version of your documents, of your contract, but some consulates might not even accept that. So they would like to see Spanish translation, and that needs to be from a certified translator. So you need to go to that process of preparing and translating all of the documents. So now when you have translated your documents, you actually need to put them into international use, or you need to legalize them to be able to use them in foreign countries. This is a process that usually is known as an apostille. Spain is a member of Apostille Hague Convention. So if you are, from US, UK, you can get an apostille. If you're, for example, from Canada, that's a bit longer because you need to do that legalization through your consulate. So if you went through this application process, you're staying in Spain, your 6 months of required stay is approaching. So you want to know how big taxes you will pay in Spain. Kind of good thing is that they're offering some tax incentives for people going under this route. So these incentives are pretty much copy-paste from famous Beckham law. And it means that you will be paying a reduced tax rate of 24% for the next 5 years for all income that is lower than 600,000 euros. So if your income is higher than this, you will be paying a standard tax rate. So this is valid for 5 years. So maybe if you after 5 years, when you get a permanent residence of Spain, you just want to leave Spain. But some of the important things that you need to be aware of when applying for this type of visa is that Spain does have permanent establishment rules, and they're really looking into that very carefully. So if your plan is to obtain this visa through your own company, you need to be very careful not to trigger those permanent establishment rules or not to manage the company from Spain. If you recall, I mentioned that this visa requires that the companies you are applying through that provides a contract exists for at least a year. So you don't have much time or space to actually incorporate your company in some more tax beneficial jurisdiction before applying for this visa.